Hey everybody, I'm Scott with Starkey Family, Fixing Rigging Up. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button and make sure you got your notifications turned on. That way you get notified when I put out my next video. Now you might be wondering, why do I have my tailgate laying in the back of my truck? Well, have you ever had one of the hinges break off on you? Well, that's what today's job is. We're going to replace the hinges on the back of the truck and on the tailgate itself. So let's get into it, and I'm going to show you how bad these things really got. So this is where I realized I had the problem. I had the tailgate down one day, and as you can see, this hinge completely collapsed. And as you can see, it started wearing on the back of my truck too. So I had no idea that it was actually this bad. So let me show you the other one. So this one here is still intact, but as you can see, it's in pretty rough shape. So we're going to actually replace that one too. And you can see up here from the rust mark, again, I had no idea that my tailgate was this loose and wearing. So if you see any of these signs on your pickup truck, you got a problem. So here's one of them on the tailgate. This will be for the passenger side. As you can see, it's still intact, but it's wore pretty thin on there. So it's going to get replaced as well. Now the other one is on the other side of the tailgate. So we'll get to it later on looking at it. But as now, let's go ahead and open up the box of hardware that I bought. So when it comes in, you'll have a box about this big. Now I've got the mailing stickers and stuff like that on there, so I'm not going to show my address, of course. But let's go ahead and open this up. Now I did order these off of eBay for about 20 bucks. As you see, everything looks really nice. So let's get taking the old ones off. So before we put these back onto the truck, we're going to rubberize these. So let's go ahead and spray some of this rubberization onto these parts. That way it'll give it a time to dry while we're taking the old parts off. Okay, let's go ahead and do a second layer on this. What this will actually do is help to keep everything from rusting later on. Now after this dries, then we'll flip it over and do the other side. Okay, so what's funny is about this is a 2001 Chevrolet Silverado 2500HD that's got the diesel in it, right? This is actually takes a 13mm socket to do this, a metric. Isn't that crazy? And this is actually the factory piece. What's strange is this should use a standard size, but that's the way it goes. Now I did saturate these with WD-40. So hopefully that plays a role in taking these off with no problem. I hear you, Phoenix. If you haven't watched my other videos, you'll certainly learn that that's Phoenix the rooster. Sometimes he comes over and plays, sometimes he comes and attacks. So it's just kind of variation with him. It depends on what mood he's in. And sometimes he brings his wife over, Phyllis. So And it pops off just that easy. Now, there is a shim on this piece, as you can see, so we will reuse that shim. Now I'm going to spray some WD-40 on there because there is some moisture on there, as you can see. And this right here will actually help displace any water at all. And of course, it's not going to hurt anything because it will actually help with rust. Okay, time to rubberize the backside now. And just so you know, this is actually clear rubberization, and it can be painted if you want to. So we'll let this dry for a little bit. So while we're waiting for that to dry, what we can do is we're going to go ahead and anti-seize these bolts. Now, I know from the factory they put Loctite on them, but the reason why we're going to put anti-seize on them is so they don't rust and corrode up anymore. Not to mention, if they ever need to be replaced again, it'll be that much easier to get them out. Make sure you anti-seize all your hardware when you go to install it. Trust me, later on in life, if you still keep the same vehicle, you will be happy. Now, I'll tell you what, let's go ahead and do the thread holes while we're at it. And then as another plus, I did clean that area off. Let's go ahead and rubberize it. Now I did go ahead and spray the shim, so it's drying also, but we're going to slap all that together here in a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and start installing this. So let me grab the shim here. So we just simply put the shim on the back. This is the lineup. Now make sure on the driver's side, you see how this post is actually straight up and down? That's for the driver's side. The one on the passenger side is actually different. So make sure you don't screw that up, otherwise you'll have to take it all back apart again. Now I'm just using the socket and running it in with my fingers until it starts getting a little bit tighter. So you'll notice that I'm going back and forth. The reason being is we want everything to line up even. And that's how you do this. Nothing will go in a bind. Okay, that's nice and tight now. So now, the final layer of Sillet. Go to rubberize that again. That'll create a nice seal, and then that'll just simply dry. So let's move to the next one. So now, we're on the passenger side of the truck. I did soften this up with WD-40 also. But you always got to keep in mind, on an old pickup truck, you're going to have rust on the other side of the bolt. Run it out with the socket. Pop this one off. Maybe. This one here don't want to come out. There we go. Finally. Let's clean this off real good with WD-40. And no, that WD-40 is not going to destroy your paint or anything like that. All it's going to do is offset the water, and it's going to help loosen everything up a little bit. Maybe get some of this rust off of here. Now, in saying that, don't cover your whole car with that WD-40. That's just not right. But didn't that look good? Okay. So if you noticed, this side here did not have a shim on it. That's perfectly fine. Both sides do not have to have a shim. And not to mention, they don't even have to have a shim, period. It just depends. You know, these are welded together, so, you know, from the factory. So let's go ahead and spray it with the rubberizer. I also forgot, let's go ahead and do this before I forget. Anti-seize. And it's not going to hurt anything. I sprayed that rubberize on there. There we go. So I just put anti-seize on the bolts, and now we're ready to install the piece. Okay, so let's go ahead and start tightening it down. There goes Phoenix again. Okay, let's tighten down the top one a little bit. Okay, so let's rubberize it now. Put that extra bit of protection on there. So now we're going to work on the actual tailgate itself. Now there's a bolt on the bottom, and then there's one right here at the side. So let's work on the bottom first. And again, it's the same thing, 13 millimeter. Why it's metric, I have no idea. And I did saturate these with WD-40 also. Now, if you're using the spray-on rubberization like I am, make sure you wear gloves. It's a good thing to use gloves anyways, but when you're working with chemicals, even the WD-40, just use gloves. That way you don't get that nastiness on you. So this hinge, it really isn't that bad, as you can see, but I'm not using it again. We're going to reuse the other one. So first, let's spray this down a little bit here so we can clean it. Now that it's cleaned, we're going to take anti-seize to the holes. Now we're going to use the spray rubberization. Now, if you guys are wondering, this tailgate does have a bed liner. It's a matching Chevrolet, GMC tailgate bed liner that's mounted on the bottom. If you don't have that, I would suggest laying a towel down. That way you don't scuff your paint up or anything. Put a generous amount on there. Now, this is important. When you go to put these hinges back on, as you can see, one of them is solid and one of them has an opening. The passenger side, you use the one with the broken opening. That way you can actually put the tailgate on. So let's go ahead and install this hinge. We're going to put it on from the side first. Well, unfortunately, when I went to put this on here, I found a flaw. Do you see the new hinge where the bolt hole is a little bit higher than what the other one is? Well, I guess I'm going to have to drill a new hole to make this actually work. Yeah, so as you see with that hole, it does not line up. So I am going to have to measure this out and drill a new hole in there. So give me a few minutes to take care of that. So I'm done doing the re-drilling, and as you can see by the holes, the one on the bottom is the one that I drilled. These were off quite a bit. So let's go ahead and put it back on now because I know it's going to be right. But before I do, I'm going to respray this with some sealant, because the drill bit actually heated that up a little bit and cooked it. So anyways, let's go ahead and put that back in there. You would think that as many of these as they're bragging on eBay that they've been selling, that they would try this stuff out to make sure it's actually right. But that's the way it goes. Now, when I priced this originally, this was about $20 on eBay versus $45 at the Chevrolet dealership. That's why I went with this, because I don't see why this is that expensive of a part. Even drilling a different hole, it is a nuisance, but still. Okay, so let's now respray it on there. Even Phoenix agrees, you know what I mean? Now, I'm guessing because this side here was drilled wrong, when we get to the other side of the tailgate, I'm going to have to redo the same thing on it. So let me go and get the tailgate turned around so we can start on the other side, and we'll see what happens. So let's go ahead and take this side off. We're now working on the driver's side. Okay, there's one. Nice and tight. Now again, this hinge here really doesn't look that bad, but we are going to go ahead and replace it as well. It is a factory one. So let's see what the aftermarket one is going to look like here. And it looks like it's going to be the same ordeal. I'm going to have to re-drill it as well, so I'll be right back. Okay, so I went ahead and drilled that other hole out. It was off just as bad. So let's go ahead and clean this area off here with some WD-40. Really dirty under here, wasn't it? Okay, so let's go ahead and anti-seize the hole. Now let's spray some of this sealant on here. Rubberize that. Now I've got to anti-seize the bolts, as you see. There's one, and there is two. Make sure you do this. This is vital. Yeah, put this bolt in. Grab the socket here. Okay, so we got everything together now. It's ready to put. We're ready to put the tailgate on. I almost forgot one vital thing: grease. So we're going to grease that up, and I'll go ahead and grease that other side up real quick before we put the tailgate on. Okay, so let's go ahead and put the tailgate on. Now we're going to start out by doing the driver's side first. Got to put the hinge in. Same thing on the other side. This tailgate's really, really heavy. Sometimes you gotta help them a little bit. Then you got your cables you gotta put on. It's always fun to put on there. There's one. You'll actually be able to see it here. There's the other one. So after you get done, your hinge will be in here like so. Just like that. Of course, you got your cords that snap on, your cables. Same thing over here. And you're done. Hey everybody, I'm Scott with Starkey Family, Fixing Rigging Up. I hope if you have this job to do on your pickup truck, you're not going to take this somewhere to get done. This is actually a fairly simple job to do. Now, I know in this video, I went aftermarket and I paid the penalty and I had to drill out the parts. That happens sometimes. So, if you're not ready to take that challenge on, or if you just want to send the parts back and get your money back and try to buy something else, that's fine too. Now, I chose not to go to the dealership because I don't want to pay a little over double the price, about $45 for that kit, because basically all you're paying for is just 4 brackets. I mean, there's nothing really to it. Even $20 is a little bit high for this, but anyways, I guess it's that time. The tailgate's working. We're good to go. I'll see you guys in my next video. Make sure that you catch my other videos. That way you're not out paying money for needless work that you don't need to be paying people to do, that you could just do it yourself. I'll see y'all. Take care.